Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, basketball fans of all ages. Welcome once again to the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya on the gorgeous shore of the Yucatan Peninsula for the 2018 Cancun Challenge. It's the women's tournament here on this Black Friday. Idaho State, wearing black, will face Georgia Tech. It is the Bengals and the Yellow Jackets getting set to play here. Kenyon, Grandin, Heinrichs, Tapasa, and Bourne out there for Idaho State. Winning the tip is Georgia Tech with Balogun, Kubai, Dixon, Pond, and Fletcher. Here is Pond right away for three. That one is off. The rebound to Dixon, who floats it back up and in. Right away, an offensive rebound and a bucket. A second chance opportunity for Georgia Tech, who comes out in a full court press against Idaho State. They flip it across. Tapasa is open for a wide open layup. Pump fake, up and in. Side Tapasa answers the call. Now 2-2 here in the early going. 9:26 and the clock working here first quarter of this fourth game on a Friday. It is the 9th game of 12 in total in the Women's Cancun Challenge. Fletcher gets to the middle, takes a little 4-foot jumper that's off. A foul called on the rebound. It's going to go against Georgia Tech. It'll be Idaho State basketball. Yesterday, Idaho State got the win over Kennesaw State in a low-scoring affair. 11 points total in that fourth quarter between the two teams. Idaho State getting the better of the Owls. Georgia Tech took on George Washington, and three-point barrage got Georgia Tech a W. There's Tapasa again with the little jump hook in the right hand, and it's 4-2 in the early going for the Bengals. Head coach Seton Cebulski taking on this Georgia Tech squad, and Michelle Joseph in her 16th season. His little baseline jumper from Pond is good. 4-4 back and forth we go here. 2.5 gone in first quarter. Overhead pass from Grandin gets to Kenyon. Grace Kenyon, the redshirt senior. And the Bainbridge Island, Washington. Double-double yesterday, 14 points, 12 rebounds. Sit over to Heinrichs. Near side, Grandin trying to drive on Pond. His little step back jumper is off. Tapasa tips the rebound to herself, takes a dribble and grabs to Heinrichs. There's two teams that have some size and like to use it. A little screen from Tapasa. Kenyon comes near side to Heinrichs. Heinrichs driving to the middle, kicks to the far side corner. Grandin gets to Bourne. Bourne trying to drive on Pond. It's slapped out of her hand. Tapasa picks it up. No good on the layup. Fletcher comes out of it. Here comes Georgia Tech, 1-on-2. Fletcher. Double team, blocked. Tipped out of bounds, it will stay. Georgia Tech basketball. Idaho State team that likes to use the clock. Facing this Georgia Tech team, a little havoc created by full court pressure. Doesn't mind getting out and running. Here's Fletcher. Fletcher up top, guarded by Heinrichs. Giving right back to Fletcher. Left side of the circle is Balogun. Balogun, behind the back dribble. Still has it, hands back off to Fletcher with 6 on the shot clock. Fletcher, elbow jumper, that one's off. For the rebound to Kubai. A little jump hook with the right hand is off. Dixon the rebound. Second time Dixon has got the offensive rebound and put it up and in. 6-4 here, Georgia Tech. A little steal on the inbound from Balogun. That one's off and she's fouled. Finishes the play just for extra good measure. Mad at herself. She could not finish that one, but 2 free throws coming for Elizabeth Balogun. Balogun, the freshman out of Lagos, Nigeria. First free throw is up and good. Second free throw rattles off. Tapasa the rebound. Idaho State looks to push. Here comes Heinrichs. Heinrichs on Kubai with the left-hand layup is good. Here's Fletcher for Georgia Tech. Now Kubai at the top of the key, comes near side At the circle, Balogun, a little jump off pass. Kubai is double teamed, floated out of bounds. It'll stay Yellow Jacket basketball underneath here on the near side. Bond to inbound, coming off the bench. For Idaho State is Delaney Moore. Kubai handed off to Pond, who fires up a three. That one's off. The rebound tipped around and grabbed by Grandin. Saylor Grandin streaking up court, up to Heinrichs. Heinrichs, a little hesitation dribble, drives baseline, comes to the corner. It gets to Kenyon, who pops a three. That one's off. The rebound tipped and off of Fletcher. It will stay Idaho State basketball. Be interesting to keep an eye on the rebounding battle yesterday. Both these teams cleaning up the boards. It's 5-4 in favor of Georgia Tech here in the early going. 6:18 to play. The inbound pass off the hands of Delaney Moore, and it's a turnover. 7-6 Georgia Tech's leads here. 6:18 first quarter of action at the Cancun Challenge in the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. Here's Kubai to Balogun. Balogun, far side, will look at a three-pointer off the back of the iron. Grandin the rebound. Comes Bourne. Bourne, Heinrichs into Moore. Moore is bumped, and there'll be a blocking foul on Kubai. Rotating on the weak side defense, just not there in time, and Kubai will have to sit down. Coming off the bench is Scott. On the inbound, another foul from Georgia Tech. This one is going to go against the Yellow Jackets. Fletcher picks up her first foul. So Idaho State still trying to inbound. They kick it out to Bourne. Bourne guarded tightly by Scott. Takes a look at the clock. Starts to orchestrate the offense. Grandin fires up a three. That's blocked by Balogun. Scott streaking in and tips it out of bounds. Here is Bourne. Bourne to Moore. Delaney Moore with the ball at the top of the key. Stops her dribble, comes near side to Kenyon. Kenyon dribbles it off her foot. Picked up by Oltrog. Here's Bourne. Bourne tripped over Dixon. See if the foul's on Dixon or Fletcher. It is on Dixon. So first personal foul on Dixon. Already 14 fouls for Georgia Tech, one more, and Idaho State will head to the free throw line. Bourne will inbound once more for the Bengals. They try to kick it out to Grandin, but stolen right back. And now there's some confusion. And Michelle Joseph has a technical foul. An early technical foul on Michelle Joseph. Oltrog will shoot the technical free throw. They had a turnover. Saylor Grandin jumped in the air. She knew it. Everybody thought it was the Idaho State turnover, so Oltrog misses the first free throw. Nails the second. It'll tie the game at 7, and Idaho State will again have possession of the basketball after the technical to Michelle Joseph. After a lot of confusion, it's now Georgia Tech basketball. Everything is sorted, and we're ready to go with 5:12 on the clock and counting down. So here comes Fletcher, turning the corner, tries to go inside. It's tipped around and grabbed by Grandin. Sailor Grandin passes it across the timeline, eventually gets to Bourne. Bourne working at the top of the key, now Kenyon. Kenyon goes far side in the corner to Bourne. Bourne trying to drive baseline, loses the handle, it comes out to Kenyon. Kenyon dribbling to her right in the middle, stops at the elbow to the baseline and Tapasa. That one is off, and the rebound to Pond. Pond, guarded by Bourne, goes right at her, and a blocking foul going to be called on Bourne. Pond a bit out of control, but Bourne couldn't quite set her feet. And after all that, 4:32 left to play here, first quarter, 7-7 is your score. We'll be back with more from Cancun. Georgia Tech with 4 second chance opportunities, Idaho State with none. Both of those baskets for Tech coming off a Liz Dixon rebound. Georgia Tech inbounds to get the clock started once more. Here's Fletcher out top. Guarded by Heinrichs. Goes to the elbow, and Scott hands off to Balogun. Balogun at the free throw line takes a jumper, well short, Grandin the rebound. Grace Kenyon has it, hands to Heinrichs. Heinrichs takes a look at Sevaleski, who calls out the play. Tapasa sets the screen. They try to go pick and roll. Weak side defense comes for Fletcher. They kick back out to Heinrichs. Thought about a three, gives back to Tapasa. Tapasa takes a fadeaway jumper and hits it. Sai Tapasa leading everybody early, 6 points, 3 of 5 from the field. All of her points in the paint. There's Pond. Now Scott. Back to Pond, near side. Right side of the circle, dribbles to the elbow. That is slapped out of her hands, but no, a foul called on Idaho State. Bourne will check back into the game for the Bengals. For the first time tonight, Jefferson comes in for the Yellow Jackets. Deja Jefferson. There's Fletcher off the window, too strong. The rebound, Diouf. That one misses everything, and Tapasa had the rebound momentarily. Scott ties her up. It's going to be a held ball, possession arrow in favor of the Bengals. It'll be Idaho State basketball. Little ACC and Big Sky matchup here tonight in the Convention Center of the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. Here's Moore, comes near side to Kenyon. Kenyon takes a couple of dribbles, gets to the elbow on the far side, has to flip it to the corner. And Heinrichs trying to work on Scott. Cut off, dribbles out with 5 on the shot clock. Now to the corner. Bourne will have to heave up a three. That one's off, and the rebound to Scott. Back comes Georgia Tech with 2:53 left first quarter. There's Pond. Pond thought about a three. Now she'll take it and she'll hit it. Francesca Pond, her 5th point tonight after the 3-point field goal. That is the first made three for the Yellow Jackets tonight, 1 for 4. Heinrichs double teamed out top, throws it over the head of Bourne and over the scores table. Turnover for the Bengals. That's their 4th turnover. Was a problem last night. Kennesaw State forced 20 turnovers for the Bengals, but could not come away with the win. Georgia Tech trying to take full advantage here, leading 10-9. Here's Pond, near side Jefferson. Jefferson trying to pocket pass. Diouf and Tapasa hit the deck, and it's a held ball. Appreciate the effort from both gals. Possession arrow now to Georgia Tech. 11 on the shot clock. Ball comes into Fletcher. Fletcher looking at Heinrichs, now Pond. Guarded by Bourne. Pond gets to the elbow, little fadeaway jumper. A nice shot by Francesca Pond. She's got 7. Idaho State beats the press. It comes near side to Heinrichs, kicks up a 3, just barely kisses the iron. But a long rebound comes out to Bourne. Idaho State resets. Sevaleski directing traffic. Bourne gets the call. Now the play will start with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Grandin trying to turn the corner, stops at the free throw line. Now to the far side, stolen away by Fletcher. Back comes Georgia Tech with a 2-on-4. Fletcher all the way coast to coast as Jefferson hit the deck. Fletcher beat everybody, and it's 14-9. Idaho State is successful. Break of the press once more. Now they get into their half-court offense. 1:05 remaining here, first quarter. Hand off to Grandin. Heinrichs staring at Jefferson, looking inside to Tapasa. Tapasa has the mismatch, a fadeaway jumper, misses everything, and the rebound Scott. Back comes Georgia Tech. Scott dribbles to the corner, now baseline, takes a jumper, that one's short. Rebound tossed around. Jefferson had it momentarily. Everybody's on the floor, and eventually we'll get a held ball. This one back towards Idaho State as we'll get a couple of substitutions. Oltrog back in, as is Ellie Smith for Idaho State. Lahtinen in for Georgia Tech. Lahtinen played a heavy load last night for Michelle Joseph. There's Bourne. Bourne. It's about 11 seconds difference. Game clock and shot clock. Smith inside to Moore. Moore double team, takes a jumper, and somehow that finds the bottom of the net. A line drive shot. There's Lahtinen going all the way to the hole for the bucket. 16-11 is your score at the end of the first quarter. 10 more minutes on the clock. 10 more minutes left in the first half. Georgia Tech leads it when we come back from Mexico. Welcome back here to the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya, the site of the 2018 Cancun Challenge. Georgia Tech and Idaho State battling here. Tech with a 16-11 lead. A little deep three is off. The long rebound and underneath. Foul's gonna go against Diouf. So the Bengals inbound, down by 5. Facing the full court pressure from Georgia Tech. They get it across after 7 seconds. Heinrichs has it. They set up into their offense. Grandin trying to turn the corner, cut off by Pond. Comes near side Kenyon. Kenyon around Diouf. A nice little pocket pass finds Ellie Smith. The drive, the kick, the dish, and the bucket. Nice play by the senior. Here's Lahtinen for Georgia Tech. Circles around to Jefferson on the far side. Jefferson to Pond. Pond, left side of the circle. Comes to Lahtinen. Lahtinen backs up towards the Cancun Challenge logo. Asks for the screen. It's one around. Blocked by Smith, out of bounds. 7 seconds on the shot clock as Elizabeth Dixon and Kubai check in. Georgia Tech now with a significant size advantage with Pond, Kubai, Dixon, and Jefferson on the court. There's the lob inside to Dixon. 6 seconds on the clock. Dixon finds a bucket inside all of the traffic, using that size to her advantage. Makes it 18-13. Grandin has it tipped. Pond steals it. Back comes Georgia Tech. It's the 6th Idaho State turnover. Pond, little right-handed flip somehow, rims around and drops. Bourne flips to Grandin. They get it across the timeline to Kenyon. Kenyon dribbles baseline, now to the middle, into the corner. Heinrichs open for 3. That one's off. The rebound to Jefferson. Jefferson calling out the play as she's jogging across midcourt. Pond has it up top, guarded closely by Bourne. Looking for Dixon at the elbow, who has it now. Gives it right back to Pond, takes a jumper. That one's short, but the rebound, Dixon. Dixon stepped out of bounds as she tried to turn the corner. It's a turnover. Just the second turnover of the game for Georgia Tech. Sai Tapasa back in for Idaho State. Fletcher in for Georgia Tech. Oltrog picks it up. Has it now as she crosses midcourt, gets it to Tapasa. Tapasa takes a dribble, stop. Heinrichs open for 3 again. That one's too long. So one short, one long for Heinrichs. Back comes Balogun. Balogun outed by Heinrichs. Lahtinen looks back at Joseph, who calls out the play. Holds up the hand signal with 14 seconds on the shot clock. Kubai. Far side Balogun. Balogun backing down on Oltrog. Balogun cut off, slapped away. 3 on the clock, has to heave one up. Dixon got the rebound, and it'll be a shot clock violation or a foul. What came first? Bill Lawrence will come in to discuss. It's a shot clock violation before the foul. Michelle Joseph is irate at Lahtinen. Frustrated for the way that last play went. Sailor Grandin checks in for Heinrichs. Heinrichs, who has been stout defensively, has just 1 basket on 3 attempts, missing those 2 threes. Grandin kicks all the way to Tapasa. Bourne has it now, 7:07 to play here, second quarter. Kenyon, fadeaway 3, rattles out. Balogun grabs it. Back comes Georgia Tech. A little hesitation dribble. Runs over Tapasa, but we're going to get a blocking foul. Sailor Grandin raising her hand in the air, but does not want Tapasa to take the foul. So Grandin awarded the foul. That's her second. Inbound comes to Fletcher. Fletcher dribbles out, calls the play. Dixon and Kubai come to set the screen. She dribbles right, goes back to Dixon. Dixon pump fakes, now hands to Lahtinen. Lahtinen, a little Euro step blocked out of bounds by Kenyon. She dropped the ball momentarily and Kenyon slapped it out of the air. Fletcher now ready to inbound. Kubai dribbles out, looking for Dixon inside, who was double teamed, and Tapasa trying to not let her get deep position. She was all the way under the basket. Gives away the foul, just her first foul. A little bit of a wall set by Georgia Tech on the inbound. Lahtinen has it now. Dribbles back to her left. Georgia Tech has been on this end of the court for a while now. Still looking to find Dixon inside. Turns around to Fletcher on the far side. Fletcher hands to Balogun with 12. Balogun turns the corner, takes the jumper. That one's well long. Rebound tipped around, and Balogun will claim it once more. Michelle Joseph uses her hand in the air. They want to call snip. There's Balogun. A little crossover dribble up front. Shot is short. And the rebound, Tapasa. Back comes Idaho State with 5:45 here left, second quarter. Kenyon has it. 7-point ball game, 2013. Inside to Tapasa. Mismatch on Lahtinen. They go cross court, tipped out of bounds by Dixon. Will allow Pond and Scott to check back into the game for Balogun and Lahtinen. Lahtinen, who's had a rough start to this game. Just 2 points in the early going. Here's Bourne. Oltrog thought about a three, gives back to Bourne. Swung back around. Nice ball movement. Oltrog gets an open three and hits it. Fletcher brings it up the court for Georgia Tech. 2-possession game now in 2016. Pond heaves up a three and hits it. A great answer from Georgia Tech. They throw to Grandin. Dixon, header. They get it to Kenyon in the corner, who pops for three. That one rattles out. The rebound tipped around to Oltrog, who is blocked by Kubai. 4:45 to play here, second quarter. 23-16, Georgia Tech on top of Idaho State when we come back from Mexico. Welcome back to Mexico. Idaho State and Georgia Tech. The ACC in the Big Sky. Duking it out here in the Convention Center of the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. Sailor Grandin has it in the corner for the Bengals. He's up to Heinrichs. Now Kenyon. Kenyon scored in double figures last night. trying to get on the scoreboard tonight. Kenyon dribbles to her left, cut off baseline, gets to Moore at the elbow, takes a jumper right through. A nice dish, Kenyon. 0 for 3 from the field, but 2 assists. And the Bengals down 23-18. Traveling called on Scott. It's a turnover for Georgia Tech. Ellie Smith and Bourne in for Idaho State. Saylor Grandin to inbound the full court press. A 1-2-2 from Georgia Tech. Bourne close to walking before she dribbled, but has it now with the logo, and she'll set up shop with 18 seconds on the shot clock. Heinrichs fires over to Grandin. Grandin at the top of the key. Grandin thought about a three, did not lift her pivot foot, gets to Bourne, who fires up a three, hits back iron. She gets her own rebound and is hit by Pon, and the same shoulder that I think that is Kubai, not Pon. She has that shoulder taped up. Jefferson is going to come in for Dixon. Kubai will sit. Dixon will come back onto the floor. That same shoulder she injured last night hit once again tonight. So Idaho State with the basketball with 3:30 to play here first half. And an offensive foul called on Idaho State. It's going to go on Heinrichs. Her first foul, the smallest player on the court setting an illegal screen for Ellie Smith. Here comes Fletcher. Pon hands back off to Fletcher, back to Pon. Pon trying to get around board, goes straight to the rack, charges over Saylor Grandin. Grandin's feet were set. So Francesca Pon picks up her first foul. 3 fouls apiece for either team here in the second quarter. Heinrichs has it, gets to Smith. Smith with it. Now Bourne. Bourne to Grandin. Grandin. And an offensive foul called on Ellie Smith. Ellie Smith with her first foul. So back-to-back illegal screens. Back comes Georgia Tech. 2:51 to play here in the first half. Francesca Pon with the basketball at the top of the key, takes a 19-footer and drains it. A 30-second timeout called by Idaho State. 2:43 to play. Resetting the game here, Georgia Tech leads 25-18. After the jump shot from Francesca Pon, who has 14 points to lead all scorers, to go along with 1 rebound and 1 steal in just 15 minutes of play. So far, the bench for Idaho State has been the bright spot, 10 points to 2. But it's points off turnovers. 8 Idaho State turnovers have turned into 9 Georgia Tech points. Just 5 Georgia Tech turnovers here in the first half. Idaho State has not scored when Georgia Tech has turned it over. They get all the way to Grace Kenyon. It's a 2-on-1 now. Kenyon stops and will have to wait for her teammates. They had the break if they wanted it. Now Idaho State will take its time. Pass is tipped into Tapasa. Comes back to Bourne. Near side Grandin. Grandin driving baseline on Fletcher. And a foul's going to be called on Fletcher. Fletcher with the hand check. It's going to be the fourth team foul on Georgia Tech. Second foul on Fletcher. So Fletcher will head to the bench. Michelle Joseph does not wanting her picking up her third. Before the start of the second half, Scott will come in. So Scott out there with Lahtinen, Pond, Jefferson, and Dixon. They kick all the way out to Heinrichs, does Idaho State. Looks at Sobolewski, who calls out the play. Tapasa comes to set the screen. Tapasa will get it at the free throw line extended, comes near side to Heinrichs. Heinrichs trying to drive, kicks up Pond, and that's going to be an offensive foul. Now Heinrichs picks up her second foul. It's Georgia Tech basketball. Here's Pond trying to get around the screen, lays it up strong. The rebound to Dixon and is fouled on the putback. In this game that's been physical already, a couple of offensive fouls. Kubai injuring her shoulder again. We've just shot now 5 free throws as Dixon cannot convert on the front end. A low scoring quarter, 9-7 in favor of Georgia Tech. Just a 7-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Dixon trying to make it 8. And she does. Under 2 minutes to play now here in the first half. Bourne dribbling up the court. Tapasa inside Kenyon, off her fingertips and out of bounds. It's another turnover for Idaho State. That's an even 10 now. The 10 turnovers have been converted into 10 points so far. For Georgia Tech, another opportunity with Lahtinen. Now Jefferson fires up a 3. That one looks long and is. The rebound to Scott. Scott takes a jumper. That one is good. Here comes Idaho State. Hands off to Grandin. Grandin to the elbow and Tapasa. Tapasa trying to turn and face. Comes back to Grandin, near side, takes a long 3. That one's short, hangs on the rim. Tapasa the rebound. Kenyon has it, little pump fake, up and under move. Too strong off the glass once again. The rebound, Dixon. Kenyon hits the floor. Numbers for Georgia Tech coming back. It's Pond. Pond trying to get around Dixon and is bumped before she could get to the rim. A foul called with 51.9 seconds on the clock. Georgia Tech now in the bonus, so Francesca Pond, who is 6 from 11 on the field, 2 for 5 from three-point range, now 1 for 1 from the charity stripe. Has 15 points. Trying to make it 16. And does. Now a 12-point lead for Georgia Tech. There's Bourne. Over to Tapasa. Cross-court pass stolen away by Lahtinen. Back comes Georgia Tech. Lahtinen through the lane, reverse layup is off, and the rebound to Moore. Hung on the rim for a half second. 1 second difference, game clock and shot clock as we come to the end of the quarter. Bourne has it. With 11. Still waiting. Sobolewski says go with 7. Now 6. Bourne has it to the corner. Kenyon trying to drive baseline, has it poked from behind, and the shot clock hits 0. So 1.6 left here in the first half. A couple of defensive substitutions for Cebulski. .6 on the clock for Georgia Tech. Michelle Joseph arguing there should be some time on the clock. Officials discussing. And they will talk about it. It's a 7-0 run for Georgia Tech over the last 4:25, 10-2 in the last 5:24. Idaho State has been scoreless for the last 4.5 minutes, and they're just 1 for 11 from three-point range. So they do rule a shot clock violation, which was not apparently the call on the floor. But Pond to inbound. Pond gets it up to Lahtinen. It's good if it goes. That one's almost off the shot clock, a little too strong to end the half. But it's a good run for Georgia Tech. They lead by 12, 30-18. 20 more minutes of basketball for these two teams when we come back from Mexico. Welcome back to the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. There's Idaho State and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech with a 12-point lead after the first half. 12 turnovers from the Bengals have turned into 12 points for Georgia Tech. And almost another turnover there. Sai Tapasa comes up limping. Heinrichs to inbound for the Bengals. Heinrichs out there with Kenyon, Grandin, Bourne, and Moore. There's Bourne. Over to Heinrichs. Thought about a three. Hesitation. Trying to turn the corner. The right-handed layup is short. And the rebound to Georgia Tech. Back come the Yellow Jackets. And a shot clock malfunction. It did not reset. They'll put 26 on the clock, 9:27 here in the third quarter. Here's Fletcher. Balogun, Dixon. There's Balogun. Inside to Kubai, who's fouled. We'll see who they give the foul on. Kenyon and Moore were both there. And Grace Kenyon will pick up the foul. Kenyon, who is 0 for 4 from the field, does have 3 assists, 1 block in her 17 minutes. Had 15 and 12 last night against Kennesaw State in a win. Georgia Tech. Kubai, near side Balogun, pump fake, inside to Dixon. Dixon with the right hand off the window. Bourne. Dribbles across the timeline here with her team down 14, 32 to 18. Bourne now near side. Dribbles to the middle, around the corner on Fletcher. Comes to Grandin. Grandin working on Pond, hands to Heinrichs. A deep three is in the air, it's long. And the rebound to Kubai. Kubai streaking up court, all alone underneath the basket is Dixon. 11-0 run, and Sepeleski wants time. 4-0 start to begin the third quarter. It's 34-18. We'll take a break here in Cancun with Georgia Tech on top. Idaho State basketball here out of the timeout. Stretching back to the second quarter, it's an 11-0 run for Georgia Tech. Here is Bourne, comes near side Kenyon. Kenyon inside to Tapasa. Tapasa blocked by Kubai. Back with it is Pond. Francesca Pond, who has 16 points. Kubai dribbles to the middle, turns back left, drops to Dixon, a nice assist. Interior passing. The Bigs sharing the rock down low, and it's 36-18. Georgia Tech has doubled up Idaho State. 7:40 in the clock ticking here, third quarter. Here's Grandin. Grandin tipped away and stolen by Balogun. Balogun fighting against Grandin, and the foul will go against Saylor Grandin. 13 turnovers now for Idaho State. Delaney Moore jumps in. Flipped out to Fletcher. To Balogun in the corner. Inside to Kubai. Inside to Pan. Pan turns, stops, fades. And reaching over the top was Kubai. The foul will go on her. It'll be Kubai's third foul, and that gets Scott up off the bench. Kubai will have to sit. Kubai officially the first Yellow Jacket in foul trouble. Saylor Grandin, who is sitting on the bench at the moment with 4 personal fouls. Inside Heinrich's left hand off the window and in. A nice play out of the break. And a much needed basket to stop the run for Idaho State. 36-20. Here's Balogun. Balogun hands to Scott. Scott gets the screen from Dixon. Dribbles all the way to the near side. Fletcher picks it up, drops to Dixon. Dixon double teamed inside, back out to Scott. Scott fires the jumper and hits. (38-20). Bourne with it. Bourne tipped that by Balogun and fouled. Second foul on Georgia Tech here in the third quarter with 6:30 to play. Bourne picks it up. Dribbles to her left. Comes back right for Heinrichs. Inside to Moore. Outside Kenyon. Pump fakes the 3 and is run over by Balogun. Got Balogun in the air, and both players guessed wrong on where each other would land. Deja Jefferson into the ball game for Georgia Tech. Inbounding is Idaho State. Bourne gets the screen from Moore. Dribbling to her left, working on Fletcher. Off the screen comes Kenyon. Bourne doesn't look at her, tries to pop it out and does to Tapasa. Tapasa takes an elbow jumper and hits it. Side Tapasa gets to her spot. Fires the jumper under 6 to play now, third quarter. 38-22. Fletcher with it. To Scott. Scott hands off near side Jefferson, guarded by Kenyon. Pan sets the screen. Jefferson takes the jumper and hits it. It's a 3-pointer for Deja Jefferson, 41-22. Largest lead of the game for Georgia Tech. Coming near side is Bourne. Trying to turn the corner. Cut off by Scott. Heinrichs has it. Dribbles baseline, has it poked away, picked up by Bourne. Bourne on the far side, the 28-foot mark. Bourne still with it. Good defense by Scott. Has to heave one up, hits the front of the iron, and Scott grabs the rebound. A good defensive possession for Georgia Tech. Back come the Yellow Jackets, and Dixon trying to get position on side Tapasa. Commits the offensive foul. It's a rare turnover for Georgia Tech. Just the 6th of the game for the Yellow Jackets. 4:56 to play, 41-22, Georgia Tech on top here in Mexico. Welcome back to Mexico, ladies and gentlemen. 41-22, Georgia Tech on top of Idaho State. Heinrichs with the ball, comes to Oltrog. Oltrog hands to Kenyon. Kenyon inside looking for more, tipped away by Scott, who has it now. Scott trying to race down the floor, guarded by Kenyon, who fouls Scott as she puts up the layup. It'll be free throws. For Scott. Shannon Scott digs in at the line. First free throw is up and good. Sai Tapasa checks back in for Idaho State. And Delaney Moore a break. Shannon Scott looking for her 6th point of the game, taking her 2nd free throw and drains it. 4:37 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Georgia Tech has taken off the full court pressure they deployed in the first half, opting with stifling half-court defense here as that one's tipped out of bounds by Lahtinen. Lahtinen doesn't believe it, says you didn't tip it. Tapasa to inbound. Far side in the corner. Heaves all the way up top to Ellie Smith, who hands to Heinrichs. Heinrichs dribbling left, hands to Oltrog. Oltrog. Kenyon. Kenyon to Smith. Smith dribbling inside, outside. Oltrog for 3. Swish! Under 4 minutes to play now, 3rd quarter. 43-25 is your score. Jefferson on the baseline, takes a jumper, looks short and is. Tapasa the rebound and is fouled by Elizabeth Dixon. Third foul now on Dixon. And the 5th team foul at the 3:45 mark. There'll be 2 free throws for Sai Tapasa. Bourne trying to check into the game will have to wait. At least 1 free throw. So Tapasa, who has 8 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal. Making 9 points with the first free throw. Bourne checks in. Heinrichs takes a seat. Dixon takes a seat for Georgia Tech for Doof. Tapasa at the free throw line, looking to get into double figures with 10, and now she does. She's the first Bengal. Double figures, 4 for 8 shooting, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. There's 7 rebounds, 3 shy of a double-double. Here's Lahtinen. Lahtinen driving to her right, hands to Scott. Scott drives to the middle. Scott takes a jumper, highly contested. No, but Grace Kenyon called for the foul. Third foul on Grace Kenyon, so 3 fouls on Kenyon, 4 on Grandin, 2 on Heinrichs, 2 on Bourne. Shannon Scott heads to the free throw line, 2 for 2 so far today. Make it 3 for 3. Madison Heinrichs checks into the game for Kenyon and committed that 3rd personal. Scott with it. Rattles out. Jefferson, the offensive rebound, tore away from by Bourne, and off of her foot, it's going to be Georgia Tech basketball. A little applause from the bench from the effort. 17-point lead for the Yellow Jackets, 44-27. Delaney Moore races to the table and will check in for Ellie Smith. Seton Cebulski not happy with the rebounding effort from Smith inside. Jefferson reverse layup, no, but the foul will give her free throws. be Jefferson's first free throws of the night. In 13 minutes, Jefferson has one board, 3 points. She's taken 2 threes. She hit one of them. First free throw rims off. Margin remains 17. Second free throw is good. Bourne marches across the timeline here. 45-27. It's to Delaney Moore. Moore pump fakes, hands to Tapasa. Another pump fake, tries to go up with it. A foul called on Georgia Tech will send Sai Tapasa to the line for her third and fourth free throws of tonight's contest. First free throw is up and good. Tapasa hits the back end. 45-29. Lawton dribbles over the half court mark. Scott with it near side, guarded by Moore. Pond up top, circles around to Lawton, takes a pump fake, dribbles in, hands to Doof. And they kind of run into each other, and a foul is going to be called somewhere in between Doof and Lawton. 2:52 on the clock here, third quarter. Doof makes the free throw. Idaho State just 2 of 13 beyond the arc. Georgia Tech not much better, 3 of 8, but are dominating in the paint, 20-12. Second free throw is good. Here comes Bourne for the Bengals. Hands off to Heinrichs. Heinrichs waving traffic through. Old Trog has it far side. Trog dribbles to the top of the key. Looking near side. Now does get it to Bourne with 11 on the shot clock. Bourne takes a look, guarded by Francesca Pond. Bourne dribbling left, driving all the way in. An offensive foul called on Bourne. Sevaleski says she was in the circle, and Bill Lawrence comes over and says, "You're right, that left foot was stuck in the arc." They'll switch it to a blocking foul. So instead of the offensive foul on Bourne, it's a blocking foul on Deja Jefferson. Just her first foul. As Balogun, Kubai, and Dixon all have 3. Bourne hits the first free throw. Here's Pond. Pond to Lawton. Lawton dribbles left. Hands off to Scott. Taken away by Bourne. One-on-one for Bourne. Bourne diving in on Scott and is bumped. A foul called. It'll be free throws for Bourne once again. 1 for 2 at the line this afternoon. Should call it evening, close to 8 o'clock local time. First free throw is good. Bourne digs in again. Left-handed free throw is out, and the rebound to Pond. 47-31. Third quarter, 2:04 to play. Offensive foul called on Francesca Pond. A little shoulder and elbow into Bourne. Second turnover for Francesca Pond to go with second personal foul. Bourne has it now with 16 on the shot clock for Idaho State. Grace Kenyon at the top of the key. Now Heinrichs Heinrichs all the way with the left hand off the window. A nice drive from Madison Heinrichs. 47-33. What was a 20-point lead is now 14. Pond turns the corner. Flips out to Fletcher. The 16-foot jumper is off, and the rebound Diouf. Diouf, couple of pump fakes, no. But the foul called. $16 fouls called during this third quarter. And a fast-paced Georgia team has been slowing down, not so much by the Idaho State squad, but a barrage of fouls called on either end. Diouf hits the free throw. Second one is good as well. 1:13 to play here in the third quarter. Here's Bourne. Bourne goes far side. Oltrog dribbles to the near side. Hands off to Heinrichs. Heinrichs with 15. Tap down around. Diouf has it. 3-on-2 if they want it. Jefferson bumped by Heinrichs, and officials are going to talk about it. Foul's going to go against Heinrichs. The Idaho State bench and faithful, they want a push-off. They're not going to get it. Jefferson's going to head to the line for free throws. First free throw is good. Grace Kenyon checks into the game for Ultra. Kenyon still looking for her first points of the game, but does have 3 assists. And although Idaho State has committed 16 turnovers, Kenyon just has 1 of them. Back comes Bourne for the Idaho State offense. And off Heinrichs, now to Kenyon. A lot of movement inside, and a foul called against Georgia Tech will mean free throws for Idaho State. Ellie Smith digs in at the line. The first free throw is true. 38.4 on the clock. Nuria Barrientos checks in. Grace Kenyon checks out here at the end of the quarter. Second free throw is long. Pond skies for the rebound. Up to Fletcher. Fletcher calls out the plays. 30 seconds left. It's about 8 seconds different shot clock and game clock. Fletcher dives in, and a blocking foul called on Bourne. Makes it the 19th foul called in this quarter. There were 18 fouls called in the first 2 combined. Fletcher digs in at the free throw line. The game has come to a screeching halt. Grace Kenyon back in for the offensive possession. 27.9 seconds left here, third quarter. Another free throw is good. 2 for 2 from the line on that trip was Kiara Fletcher. Here comes Idaho State. Bourne with it, 15 on the clock. Gets it to Moore at the elbow, turns and faces Pond. Throws it back and across, out of bounds, and hits a couple of Syracuse coaches. Sitting next here on the VIP seating in the convention center of the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. 6 seconds on the clock for Georgia Tech. Fletcher has it, goes with the left hand, didn't get the bucket, but is fouled with 3 seconds to play. Why not? Let's add a 20th foul this quarter. Fletcher hit a pair in her last trip. Hits the first. Madison Heinrichs will take a seat. Melissa Kadick enters the game. Fletcher's second free throw is good. Kara Fletcher, 6 points now. The last ditch shot off the front of the rim in the third quarter comes to a close, 55-34. 10 minutes left to play. It's a 21-point lead for Georgia Tech when we come back from Mexico. Welcome back to the fourth quarter here as Georgia Tech leads 55-34. 10 more minutes of basketball to play for these two teams in Cancun before Georgia Tech heads back to Atlanta, Idaho State. Back to Pocatello, Idaho. Bit of a scenery change between these two locations. The 3 seconds in the key violation out of the quarter break will give the basketball to Idaho State. That's just the 9th turnover of the game for Georgia Tech. Mentioned 17 turnovers for Idaho State. Have turned into 19 points for Georgia Tech. The clear difference in this ball game. Diouf grabs the rebound off the Grandin miss, and back comes Georgia Tech. Jefferson has it. Deja Jefferson from the top of the key rattles in a 3. Bourne dribbles up the timeline. Guarded by Fletcher. Grandin fires up a 3. That one's off, and the rebound. Dixon tips to Diouf. Fletcher driving forward. Fletcher. It's the screen from Diouf, guarded by Heinrichs. Hands off to Jefferson. Jefferson will fire up another 3. That one's off, and the rebound, Bourne. Bourne trying to push the tempo a little bit for Idaho State. Flips to Kenyon. Kenyon, who has still not scored in this game, gives to Grandin. Saylor Grandin dribbling forward. Out to Tapasa. Near side, Bourne. Right to Grandin. Grandin at the top of the key. Hands to Heinrichs. Heinrichs. Grandin. Grandin. Little pump fake, 4 on the shot clock for Heinrichs, trying to get around Pond. The right-handed layup hits the rim, but the rebound Diouf. Fletcher moves forward. 2 minutes gone here in the fourth quarter. The pass into Dixon is tipped back towards Jefferson. It's off of Michelle Joseph. And eventually Deja Jefferson to give it to Idaho State. Joseph mad at Fletcher, giving her some direction. Bourne dribbles to the near side. Tapasa comes to set the screen. She rolls down. Kicks out to Heinrichs in the corner for 3 off the back iron. The rebound claimed by 3 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and finally claimed by Diouf. Forward to Jefferson. Pace has quickened here in the start of the fourth quarter. Pond has it, trying to turn the corner. A little hanging jumper is off. Grabbing the rebound is Bourne. 5 rebounds now for Bourne. Go along with their 2 points. Bourne. Heinrichs kicks up another 3. That one finally goes. The first 3-pointer for Madison Heinrichs. Makes it 58-37. Fletcher takes a moment to compose herself. 3 minutes gone now, 4th quarter. Pond dribbling right, the screen from Diouf. Stops at the elbow, hands to Jefferson. Jefferson back near side to Dixon. Into the corner and Jefferson. Dixon sets the screen. Jefferson back out top to the logo in front. Fletcher. Diouf grabs it at the elbow. Diouf turns and faces, gets to Pond. A shovel pass to Dixon inside for the layup. A great play and an even better pass. Dixon finishes. Elizabeth Dixon, 15 points, 6 rebounds. 23 minutes of basketball. Here's Kenyon. Kenyon trying to drive on Jefferson. Fouled as she goes towards the basket. Tasia Jefferson commits the foul. So Grace Kenyon, who has 4 assists, 1 block, looking for her first point. She digs into the free throw line, throws it up short. Just been that kind of a night for Grace Kenyon. As we mentioned, though, it's not been a negative impact on the Bengals. Of their 17 turnovers, responsible for just 1 of them. As Balogun checks into the game along with Scott. Fletcher and Pond take a seat. Kenyon hits the back end of a pair. 1 point now on the evening. Lahtinen will orchestrate the offense for Georgia Tech. Brandon misses on the steal attempt, but recovers. Diouf up top. Diouf looking for Dixon inside. Comes near side to Lahtinen to the top of the key. Trying to get it into Dixon. Bump from behind from Tapasa. Just the first foul on Idaho State. Ellie Smith up off the bench. Check in for Tapasa. Tapasa with 2 fouls. Heinrichs and Grandin both out there with 4 fouls. Trying to get in there to Scott. They get it. Over there, the top is Bourne. Giving up position to Scott. 6 minutes even to go here in the 4th quarter. Scott shooting 2 after the foul from Bourne. Callie Bourne now enters the fray with 4 fouls. One of 3 Bengals with 4 fouls. Second free throw off the back iron. Bourne grabs the rebound. Grandin back up to Bourne. Sobolewski calls out the play. Bourne with it, far side to Grandin. Grandin at the left side of the circle. Trying to get through the middle of the pack is Kenyon, and they call the foul. 5:42 to play here in this one. 23-point lead for Georgia Tech. Kenyon takes a dribble, goes to Grandin in the corner, who puts up a 3. Short, and the rebound, Dixon. Dixon coming back up to Scott. Scott alone with the right hand, lays it up and in. 25-point lead, the largest of the game for Georgia Tech. Idaho stayed with it. Grandin on the far side, guarded by Diouf. Kenyon comes to set the screen. Lahtinen guarding. Kenyon drops to on the baseline. Jumper is good. Grace Kenyon now with 3 points. Under 5 to play. Near side to Balogun. Balogun will look inside to Duff, comes to the top and Dixon, swung around to Scott. Scott dribbles left, stops at the free throw line, and an offensive foul on Duff. Trying to get position inside. Sailor Grandin will check out. 4:45 to play here in this one, 63-40. Georgia Tech leads. Will come back from Mexico. .445 to play here in the fourth quarter. Idaho State with the basketball. They trailed Georgia Tech 63-40. Callie Bourne with it. Ellie Smith sets the screen. Bourne working on Duff, hands to Heinrichs. Back to Bourne. Bourne driving baseline. They kick out to Oltrog in the corner, fires up a three. That one's short, and the rebound to Ellie Smith. Ellie Smith fighting for it and travels as she falls to the floor. And the basketball bounces back to Pocatello. So it'll be Georgia Tech basketball. That makes 18 turnovers now for Idaho State in the game. Converted into 19 points, possibly 21 or 22, depending upon this possession. Here comes Lahtinen. Dixon sets the screen. Lahtinen drives in, kicks out to Scott. Scott takes a dribble, the jumper, no, but the foul is called. Foul will go on Montana Oltrog, her third. Idaho State has committed 23 fouls. Give credit to the Georgia Tech players who, with that free throw, are now 20 of 25 from the free throw line. An even 80%. They're 44% from the field tonight, 20 of 45, and another free throw falls. Giving Georgia Tech 65 points on the evening with 4:08 and the clock working. There's Kenyon. Turns and faces Dixon. Gives to Grandin on the far side. Grandin surveying, dribbling to her right. Around the corner, fadeaway jumper is long. Grabs her own rebound. Takes a dribble, kicks out to Oltrog, who's open for three. Swishes through. Under 4 to play now. It's Georgia Tech. Calls out the play from the Cancun Challenge logo at center court. Bond has it to the near side. Dixon sets the screen, stops at the elbow. The fadeaway jumper is off. The rebound finds its way to Dixon, who floats it up and in. Plus the foul, a three-point opportunity for Georgia Tech. It will shoot its 27th free throw of the evening. Sai Tapasa checks in for Ellie Smith. Elizabeth Dixon at the line. Dixon 1 for 2 this evening. make it 2 for 3. She's 8 of 8 from the field, and she leads all scorers with 18 points. Kenyon, bumped by Lahtinen. Comes back out to Bourne with 15 on the shot clock. Inside Tapasa. Tapasa turns, shoots, short. Dixon the rebound. Lahtinen with it. Lahtinen dribbling forward. Comes to Pond. Pond stops at the elbow. Fadeaway jumper rattles out. The rebound tipped out of bounds by Scott. 2:52 to play as Madison Heinrichs checks back into the game for Idaho State. Kenyon, Bourne, Tapasa, Heinrichs, Grandin out there for Sobolewski, Balogun, Lahtinen, Scott, Dixon, Pond for Joseph. Inside Kenyon, pump fakes, puts one up with the right hand and in. A little late scoring for Grace Kenyon. It's going to be too little too late. 68-45 is the score with 2.5 to play. After having a double-double game yesterday, the fadeaway jumper from Pond is off the side of the backboard. Racing up the floor is Madison Heinrichs on the fast break. Out in transition. It's the game back to 21. Pond with it, the top of the key, gets to her spot, tries the jumper again. That one is good. Third time's a charm for Pond. And we'll have to check the celebration for Francesca Pond, who now has 18 points. A timeout called, more than likely will empty the bench.
The last field goal scored by Francesca Pond was her 1,000th point.
So we do get official word now. It was the 1,000th point for Francesca Pond. She is a member of the 1,000 Point Club, a prestigious honor for anyone who plays collegiate basketball. .156 to play. Pond with some history as Georgia Tech is going to win this one. But what you like to see is the reaction from the teammates. They all knew what it meant. And we're excited as anybody. Ready to congratulate their teammate, Francesca Pond. 1,000 points for Georgia Tech. And now Jefferson is out there with Dixon, Lawton, and Scott. And Balogun. Heinrichs for Idaho State with Tapasa, Grandin, Bourne, and Kenyon. A quick substitution for Georgia Tech. Gets Carson in there for the Yellow Jackets. Here's Kenyon working on Carson. Kenyon to her left off the window. No, but the foul called. And Grace Kenyon will head to the line. Looking for her 6th and 7th points tonight. 1 for 2 from the charity stripe this evening. Digs in for the first free throw. It rattles home. Martine Fortune checks into the game for Shannon Scott. Second free throw from Kenyon is good, so give her 7 tonight. Sobolewski wants time. 30-second timeout for Idaho State. Trying to draw up a little situational play here. So you look at the stat sheet, and Idaho State yesterday with 20 turnovers, but still able to get the win over Kennesaw State. Winning the battle in the paint, kind of forcing their will inside. Tonight, the same story in the turnover margin, 18 turnovers tonight, but could not get it done in the paint. They've been outscored 28-18. They've been out-rebounded 34-25. The size and length of Georgia Tech has just been a little too much for Idaho State. But we'll look to compete heavily in the Big Sky. Grace Kenyon charging after Carson. And that's going to be Kenyon's 4th foul. So 4 Idaho State players with 4 fouls. And I can't imagine that's what Seton Cebulski drew up out of the timeout. Carson drains a couple of free throws, 72-49, 90 seconds left here in the ball game. Side to Grandin. Grandin, Kenyon, Bourne up top. Tapasa the baseline, corner 3, Heinrich short, the rebound Grandin. Grandin trying to get it to Bourne, stolen away by Lottinen. Looking for the double team, it comes out to Carson. Carson, it's a screen from Fortune. Carson stops at the free throw line. That one is left. Rebound, Bourne. Bourne trying to get it to Tapasa. Lottinen dives for the steal again. 19th turnover for Idaho State. Inside Dixon, now Fortune with the left hand, Martine Fortune. And a timeout called by Idaho State. Another 30-second timeout for Cebulski. Martine Fortune, the senior out of Philadelphia, product of the Shipley School. (74-49). Idaho State will have the basketball coming out of the timeout. 45.6 seconds on the clock. Here comes Grace Kenyon along with Bourne. Callie Bourne with the basketball. Saylor Grandin. Grandin pump fakes, gets to the middle, a little drop pass to Moore. The reverse layup is blocked. Rebound tipped around, grabbed by Fortune. Out to Jefferson. Jefferson with 30 seconds left in the game. Dribbles out. Pass for the play. They ship it over to Carson. Carson with a little pump fake, fumbles the ball. Back inside looking for Dixon, but they get it to Moore. 19 on the clock. Grace Kenyon racing forward. Kenyon to the middle, out to the corner. Madison Heinrichs open for 3. That one's short again. The rebound, Grandin. Fadeaway jumper is good from the baseline. 8.9 on the clock. Idaho State out in the full court press. Across is Carson with 3. Carson with 4. Dixon will hold it with 1, and the buzzer will sound. The game comes to a close. The journey is over in the Cancun Challenge for Georgia Tech and Idaho State. Idaho State leaves 1-1 here in the Cancun Challenge. They will drop to 2-4. Georgia Tech improves to 5-1 and finishes 2-0 in the Cancun Challenge. 74-51 is your final. One more game coming up. Michigan State, Kennesaw State right here on CBS Sports Digital. We will see you right here from Mexico.